For more on this, we've been joined in studio by the General Secretary of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations, Raphael Kofi Gapson. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for coming here to our studios. You seem to be in support of this policy by the Minister.
Thank you very much. I think that it's a pleasure to have you in our set. And I think that parents across the country commend you people for also showing leadership and making sure that issues of education are always at the front burner of your engagements with the general public. And we want to thank you on behalf of Ghanaian parents and ChannelOne to keep up the pace. We are not necessarily supporting the minister, but this is a state issue. And for that matter, education is about everybody. There are constitutional injunctions that allows what the minister says to be carved properly in law. And also our PTA, National PTA Constitution, captures excepts of these things adequately. For instance, what we are saying is that, yes, the code of conduct that the minister has raised is not a novelty. Okay. All of us who have gone through schools have known that every training comes with some regimental code of conduct regulating activities of students. And for that matter, at any level, there's something that tells you that you are under training, and for that matter, you must go through certain procedures to be able to deliver the goods. So, for instance, this particular statement, we believe that is vital for fostering an environment conducive for learning, discipline, and respect for educational processes. And the constitutional underpinnings and laws backing the minister's directive are clearly stated in Article 14 plus 1E of the 1992 Constitution, which says that every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, and no person shall be deprived his personal liberty except in the following cases and in accordance with procedure permitted by law. So 41E speaks for the purpose of education or welfare of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years. So for that matter, we are discussing issues at the pre-tertiary level. But talking about students between the age of 3,
less than
4,
18 years.
Less than 18 years. So generally, you must make some laws to regulate that space. And we parents, our perspectives and concern is that when you do that, it creates a very conducive school climate for teaching and learning. And when we say school climate, they are the prevailing circumstances within a school environment that enhances teaching and learning of both the home and the school. The home and the school must come together to give the child a particular kind of training and upbringing. In the home, we can't allow our children to just dress anyhow. We can't allow them to put up any just hairstyle. We can't allow them to have fingernails, and we can't have them just to have their teeth, they don't brush, and those kind of things. We can't just allow them to be roaming around with odor. No. So these are things that already is part of our culture as Africans, and that makes us Ghanaian and unique in our identity and character. So both the home and the school, we are together with the government and the minister saying that, look, these things must be enforced. The challenge we've had over the period is that the attention of government of late seems to be at the secondary and then tertiary level, ignoring the basic level. And you see, I've said that charity begins at home. If it has to be done, it has to be done right. And the foundation is very important, because that's what the Bible says, that if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? This whole studio we see, the things we see here, is laid on a very solid foundation. Right. And for that matter, we believe that if we do these things properly at the basic level, there's no way a child will even be going to secondary school and that will even become an issue for us to be discussing it. So we are saying that we should look at the policy holistically and not be doing picking and choosing. That is our first point. Secondly, we are also saying that discipline and character formation, if you read our Constitution, Chapter 2 of the National Council of PTA Constitution clearly states, talks about the purpose. Let me just leave it for you. The Chapter 2 speaks about Article 2, Section 1, A, B, and C, speaks about the purposes of the National PTA, and in common with those of the regional branches and the school-based units. For instance, it says that to promote the general welfare of school-going children or wards in their homes, educational institutions, communities, and place of worship. So it says that to raise the standards of home life through effective early childhood upbringing. And then C, it talks about to secure adequate laws for the care and protection of students and pupils. We call them students because they can't think beyond certain levels, and for that matter, they have to regulate that. So can you have a system whereby we sit here, we're in the studio, I can't just dress anyhow and come and sit here. There's a brand of ChannelOne we have to maintain. There's a credibility about the country Ghana that this space occupies that we have to project out there. So can we have schools that in terms of safety and identity, we don't know the children, this school uniform goes with this particular, the uniform goes identified children of this particular school, their dress code and those things. All those things are very important. And I've kept on saying that all the schools that we call the category A schools, the category B schools, is because over the period of the last 30, 40, 50 years, they've maintained some standards of, that is their culture, that is the school climate there. And everybody wants to take his child to those schools. So why is it that when it comes to those things, we say that, oh, this school, this is how it is. So these are things that we need to look at it holistically. And what we are saying is that the things that we are discussing, the rationale for the enforcement, it will promote discipline. Dress codes as part of broader efforts to cultivate discipline, essential for academic success, and then personal growth. You even finish school and you want to become a journalist. There are the type of voice that they expect you to put out there to show that actually you have a voice that is. So all these things are training that you go through. So we believe that it's also reduced distractions, because you cannot be in the classroom and every child, some put any kinds of hairdress and people dress anyhow, and they are, no, it doesn't help all of us. So, and that's not how we've grown. And we've all been able to go by these things. Why do we today say that in the name of democracy and whatever, and we are comparing apples with oranges? We are comparing the American with Ghana. We are two different extremes. So when we are compare oranges with oranges, and compare apples with apples.
Now, Mr. Gapson, a recent Auditor General's report tells us that schools, basic and secondary, 60% of them do not even have toilets. Infrastructure is a big issue in our schools, and the argument is that the PTA should be concerning itself with some of these things instead of what kind of a hair somebody is wearing in schools. Should that not be the preoccupation of the PTA to ensure that there is enough accommodation, enough infrastructure, enough of these facilities for students, for their growth? The
things that we are discussing, we should put up. When we put them up and then the human being itself is not reformed, what have you done? So you have to put the two together. You cannot separate one from the other. Yes, the PTAs over the period have been concerned with infrastructure, buses, school buses, and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, when we even do those things, we still donate them to the schools. But what is more important is that when my child goes through the school environment and comes out, whatever becomes of the child, I bear the brunt of it. If the child becomes a social misfit, it's my name that they will mention. That is why we have issues with government when they begin to become more Catholic than the Pope. When government decides to make laws for us, PTAs are not under government. And I'll say it anywhere, whether it is Minister A, Minister B, or Minister C, which government which is in power. PTAs are not under government, and we cannot be under government. In fact, at best, we have employed them. We have given them jobs to do. If we don't take our children to schools, the GS and the Minister of Education, they are jobless. You get my point? So we are saying that development in education is a shared responsibility. Government has its role, other stakeholders like parents have their roles, founders of schools like the religious organization, the traditional authorities who together gave lands for the schools to be acquired, they all have a role to play. And I believe that when we all come down to around the table and we share counsel and we enrich knowledge and expertise, and government holds one side, we hold the other side, the other person holds the other side, the child has no place to hide. The child has no option than to learn. The child has no option than to fit into our system of education. And at the end of the day, it is Ghana that wins. I mean, some people believe that this policy is far removed from realities of the current times. What about some parents who think that, well, they disagree with you, they disagree with this policy? How do you convince them that this is the way to go? If they disagree with me, the only thing they can do is to go back into this constitution and tell the Parliament of Ghana to amend this constitution. There's a clause in this constitution that binds all of us to go by that. And the clause says that Article 14, 1E, speaks about the backment of this thing. And then our national PTA constitution also supports it. Definitely, different colors, one people. But the majority of Ghanaians, overwhelming majority of Ghanaians, over 85 to 90% of Ghanaians believe that if we want our schools to look at like Mauli, the best schools in Ghana that we are discussing when they are celebrating their anniversary. You see, when the minister mentioned it, people see that it was all students who were shouting. But I see parents shouting because those who are speaking there, almost all of them have kids in schools. And they think that is not the way to go. So let's not delude ourselves and say, oh, the child, I overheard funny story that the child was a half-caste. If you're half-caste in Ghana, you go by our laws. Or you don't go by our laws. If you come to decide to work with ChannelOne TV, and you enter here, don't they have rules of engagement? We do. Can you operate outside the rules of engagement? So what are we discussing? All right, sir. Thank you very much. Raphael Kofi Gapson, he is the General Secretary for the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. Meanwhile, there